Welcome to Math Mini Lessons. This is Sarah, and so many people have asked me, what will the test look like for my fifth grader on a computer? How do you do a math test on a computer? So here I am on this site, and I'm going to put the link to the site in the description. And on this site, you can actually practice with the platform, and I'm going to use this platform to answer the show your work constructive response questions. So you can see how your students will work on paper, and then how do you decide what to put on the actual platform. So what you're going to do is you're going to click onto the site. You're going to click math, fifth grade, since this video is for fifth graders. And I'm going to hit the bottom equation editor sampler and start test. Hit continue, and you can just X this out, start test. Now, this is what the equation editor looks like. This is how you're going to put in your answers for the show your work section, or any part that has an explain your work section. This is where it will be. And on the bottom down here, you have the different tools that you'll need. So for example, if you want your reference sheet, you can hit this and you have a copy of your reference sheet with all the conversions. You can make it bigger or smaller by hitting these three little lines on the side. You can exit out when you don't need it anymore. I can change the background color. I actually like it this way though. I can use a highlighter, so if I needed to highlight certain parts of the problem, but it doesn't work on pictures. If you need a ruler, you can move it around to measure things, but notice I can't make it wider because I'm measuring this way. Oh, however, if you do need to measure inches, this is fine, but if you need to switch it to centimeters, you just have to turn it using one of those arrows. And you have a protractor as well, which you could also slide so you can measure an angle, and you can move it this way if you needed to draw an actual angle, so you have that as well. And you will not have a calculator for this section. So what we're going to do is I'm going to look at an actual last year's test, and I'm going to answer the constructive response questions and show you what it looks like in this part. So that's it. I'm going to set this up, and we're going to start with the first set of 1-point problems. So we have 3 1-point questions, 36, 37, and 38. And for these questions, you're not showing your work. You're only putting an answer on paper. And that means I would only be typing my answer in that bottom box. It would look like that. So let's jump in, and I'll actually show you how to do the work first. And even if you're taking it on computer, you will have some scrap paper. So do your work on the scrap paper, and just like I'm doing here. And then we're going to transfer over our work into the boxes for our credit. All right, so let's get started. The height in inches of 4 towers made from toothpicks are shown below. Write a number sentence comparing the heights of the 2 tallest towers, and be sure to use our symbols in the answer. Okay, so I like that we're going to start by just stacking these up, and then we're going to do some comparison. So I like stacking to 29.3, 33.3. And I'm going to start with the biggest place value because I'm looking for the biggest number. So automatically we can cross this one out. And now all my 3's are the same in the tens place. Now we're going to look in the ones place. And they are all 3, so they're all the same value. So now we're going to go to the tenths place. And here the smallest one is 31 1/10. So these are 2 biggest tallest values, so 33 2/10 and 33 3/10. Which one is bigger? We know this one is the bigger one. So we're going to write this down as 33.2. This is the smaller one, so I'm going to use this way. 33 2/10 is less than 33 3/10, or 33 3/10 is greater than 33 2/10. So either one of these will work. So I'm going to just type this in. So literally, I'm just going to go to my answer box, and I'm going to put 33 3/10, and I'm going to make sure I have my correct symbol. I'm just tapping it, and 33 2/10. Or, because I can put both answers in, 33 2 cents is less than 33 and 3/10. So that's all I will put down into bucks, and I will get my full 1 credit of work. So that's it. If you're doing it on paper, just make sure you're putting your full answer on the bottom line, even though you have it in your work, just so it's never an issue. We want to make it easier for the people who are grading it. We don't want them to have to search around for your answer. So we have it here, and you can see how easy it is to transfer. So hit pause, and I suggest you open up the equation editor and practice typing this in to your box itself. We don't want the first time you try it to be when you're taking a test, because you're probably going to be nervous, and that means we make mistakes. So hit pause, go to this link, and practice typing in this answer into the answer box. Let's look at number 37, which is also a 1-point answer, so we're only going to put our answer in the answer box. Andre is using a 15-foot piece of ribbon for an art project. He cuts it into equal sized pieces of 1/3. So this is already telling me I have an even share. So I know this is going to be division. Using all the ribbon, how many pieces of ribbon will he cut? So let's think about this for a minute. We have our ribbon. Our ribbon is 15 feet. And we know that it is cut into 1/3 pieces. So if I have 1 foot, I'm going to cut it into 3 pieces, because each piece is going to be a third, a third, a third. And 1/3 times 3 is going to give me 1, just my 1 foot. So if I need to cut off 15 pieces, how many pieces am I going to have? So I'm going to think of, how do I want to solve this? Well, I want to cut my whole into 1/3. So I'm going to do 15 divided by 1/3 is equal to a number. All right, so I'm going to rewrite this as a multiplication problem. 15 over 1 times 3 over 1. Because now this is something I can solve. All I did was rewrite it as multiplication, and I get 45 over 1, or 45 pieces. Another way I could think about this is, if 1/3 times 3 gives me 1 foot, and I want 15 and out, I'm going to have to do this how many times? Each piece is going to be cut into 3 pieces. 3 times 15 gives me 45 pieces. So that can also work. Luckily, this is pretty easy. All they want is the answer, so I just have to write 45. Oh, let's write this as a full sentence. Using all the ribbon, how many pieces of ribbon does Andre cut? Let's restate the question. Andre cuts the 15-foot ribbon into 45 pieces. Each piece is, and watch how I'm going to do this, because I want to put 1/3. So I'm going to look for the symbol that looks like a fraction. Now I have to tap in it to put 1/3 foot long. All right, and I'm just going to reread it. Andre cuts the 15-foot ribbon into 45 pieces, and each piece is 1 foot long. Done. And that's all you would need. So for 1-point problems, again, you don't have to show your work. There's just going to be an answer line. So I want to make sure that I'm answering that question. And I could just put 45, but I wanted to do that extra so that people understood what the 45 meant. And this is a very clear answer. So again, hit pause, practice jotting this down, and practice hitting that little key to make a fraction. The one that's boxed right now, and practice actually tapping to write that fraction, because again, the first time you do it, when you first tap it, notice the first thing I hit is going to be after, so you have to tap into it. So let's practice it. To that point question, it's a volume question. What is the volume of a cube in a diagram? Now again, if you don't remember how to find volume, you can hit reference, and it gives you a formula for volume. So volume is equal to length times width times height, and I have a cube, so I know that all the sides are the same: 6 inches, 6 inches, and 6 inches. So I'm going to just write those 3 numbers in there: 6 times 6 times 6. Okay, and now I'm just going to solve. Well, I know 6 times 6 is 36, and I like to stack. 6 times 6 is 36, 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. So my answer here is 216 cubic inches. So let's put that in context here. Tap this out the way. All I would have to type in here is 216 cubic inches, or let's write a full answer. What is the volume of the cube? The volume of the cube with a side 6 inches long is 216 cubic inches. Done. And I can hit those 3 little lines to make it longer, and that's it. That's all you need to put for this answer. So again, hit pause, practice finding your reference table so you know how to find it when you need it, and practice just typing in your answer so we can do it. It will feel like second nature when you have to take this exam. A 2-point problem, which means I have to show my work, and I'm going to have 2 boxes. 1 box for showing my work and 1 box for my answer. I need to be sure I'm putting both my what's important into those 2 spaces. So Josiah makes a total of 195 ounces of lemonade. He pours the lemonade into 16-ounce bottles until each one is full. So this is another even share, which means I know I'm going to do some division. What is the greatest number of bottles he can fill completely with lemonade? Okay, so how many does he fill up? And if there's a remainder, if there's a bottle that's not completely filled up, I can't count that. So here's my number sentence. 195 divided by 16. And I want the whole number. So here's a trick I'm going to use for this. I know we're going to need to do some long division to do this. And I like to put my skip counting on the side. So watch how I do this. I'm going to make 2 rows. So 16, well, I like to do some skip counting just here. 32 plus 16 is 48 plus another 16. 6 plus 8 is 4. 64 plus 16 is 80. So I have the first times tables. So 16 times 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5. So that's pretty helpful for me. So 16 cannot go into 1, so I'm going to put a 0. 16 goes into 19 one time. And I have 35 left. Oh, good, I didn't have to do bigger numbers. 16 goes into 35. I can go 2 times. I am going to have a remainder though. And my remainder is going to be 3. So I can fill 12 bottles completely, and the last bottle, the next bottle, is only going to have inside of it 3 out of 16 ounces. That's going to be the 13th bottle. So what's the most important thing for me to put here? I am going to put my answer, and again, I'm going to make sure it's a complete answer. What is the greatest number of bottles Josiah can fill completely with lemonade? Josiah can completely fill 12 bottles of lemonade. The 13th bottle is not complete. And I'm just going to put, I want to write it as a fraction. 3/16 ounces. Okay, so there we have it. I have my answer. So that right there will give me 1 point. But I want to make sure, how do I show my work for this? So I'm going to write a number sentence for this. 195 divided by 16 is equal to 12 remainder 3. And I can show my work. So that right there has my answer. To show my work, I'm going to hit this little, let's make this a little bigger on this end. I'm going to hit this little box here so I can actually draw it. And I can put the 195, and I'm drawing with my finger. And I'm just copying what I already did. And this is why I like to do it on paper first, because now I'm not thinking, I'm just copying down. Done. So 12, remainder 3, and I just hit add drawing, and there it is. It's part of the work there, and now I have it in here. So you can see all of it there. So I have my number sentence, and you can see how I divided and how I got 12. And that is how we can show our work for a problem like this. So again, practice. Practice trying to see what this feels like. If you have a stylus for your state test, do you have a touch keypad for it? So just practice on a similar computer to what you're going to use for the exam, whatever you're using in school. So I'm going to hit pause here so you can practice this on your own, and then we'll move to the next 2-point question. 2-point question. A multiplication problem is shown, 42 times 5/8, and the student claims the product will be a number greater than 42. Is this correct? And I'm going to explain it in words. So what do I know about this? Well, I know that if a number is multiplied, let me put it on a number line. If I multiply 42 by 1, I'm going to get exactly 42. If I multiply by a number that's bigger than 1, so let's say any number bigger than 1, I'll pick 2. I get 84. I get a number that's bigger than 42. Okay, so if my factor is greater than 1, then I'm going to get an answer that's greater than 42. This makes sense. If my number is less than 1, then my answer is going to be less than 42. And we can think of an easy one, like 42 times 1/2. That's 42 over 2, which is equal to 21. So that's my rule. And I'm going to put this in here, and I can always test this. So this student, he's multiplying by a number that is less than 1. The student is incorrect. When you multiply a number by a factor less than 1, the product is smaller than the number. And I could even try this out, right? 42 over 1 times 5 over 8. Well, we can figure this out. 42 times 5 is 210 over 8. 210 over 8, let's simplify that. It is going to be a number with a decimal. I'm going to tell you that right now. 8 goes into 56 times, 48. 8 goes into 22 times, that's 16. And 5 times. So I get my answer 2625. So when I multiply 42 times 5/8, I get 26.25 or 26 1/4, which is smaller than 42. Okay, so now here's the hard part about this. I got to figure out what I'm going to type in here, and I have to put it into a full sentence. So my question is the student's claim correct? No. The student's, I got to make it full. no, and the student's claim is incorrect. When you multiply, and now I have to type it, 42 times, I'm going to put my little fraction bar, let's make this longer, 5/8. We do not get a product greater than 42. The product is less than 42. All right, and then someone will say, prove it. So I will do that. 42, and let's actually make some space here. 42 times, and I have to keep looking for where these buttons are, 5/8 is equal to, and notice I need to put this as a fraction again, so let's do that because we did this already. 210/8. I kind of want to change this 42 now and put it as a fraction as well. 42/1 times 5/8 is equal to 210/8, or 26 and oops, I have to tap it, 1/4. This product is less than 42. And done. So not easy, and I'm being honest about what's not easy. It's still unfamiliar for me to type in fractions and type the number sentences. So if it's uneasy for me as an adult, I understand why it might be uneasy for kids as well. But the best way to get used to it is to just practice it. So again, practice writing these expressions and equations, these number sentences into this equation editor so that the first time you're doing it is not on the test. If I was running a big race, the first time I practice running a race would not be the day of the race. I would do my practice before. So practice and make all the mistakes now when it doesn't count so that when you take it for real, you're prepared. Okay, number 41 is a 2-point problem that's a little spicy. In this one, we're going to figure out the volume of this entire figure, and it's 2 pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine cutting this piece into 2 pieces. So I'm finding the volume of this box and then the volume of this box. And we know to find volume, it's length times width times height. So here's the hot spot. I have to cut this 7 now into 2 pieces. I know from here to here, it's 3 centimeters. And since the whole thing is 7, from here to here, is 4 centimeters. So that's the hot spot that we just have to make sure when you cut it, you have to make sure, like, how am I cutting it? And how do I know that it was 3? Because this part over here. If this part is 3, this part is 3. So if I cut down here, this section is also 3. Okay? And since this whole thing is 7, if here to here is 3, then here to here must be 7. All right, I'm going to find the volume of A. And I need length times width times height. So I have 6 times 3 times, I need to go, what is this little part here? Like, what is this little section? And I need this number here too. So that's another hot spot. 6 times 3 is 18, and 18 times 2 is 36. All right, and here's volume for B. I'm going to do the same thing. length times width times height. And I have 4 times 2 times 1. Luckily, this one's pretty easy. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 1 is still 8. And now I'm just going to add them all together. The volume is the total volume. Let's put all that in. (36 plus 8), which is equal to 44 cubic centimeters. All right, so there we have it. I've put it all in there, so we have the entire thing. And how are we going to write this down? So at least this part is easy. We're typing in what is the volume in cubic centimeters of the figure. The total volume of the figure is 44 cubic centimeters. That part's easy. Also check to make sure that it's not auto, like mine auto correct, so just make sure that what you write down is what you mean. Centimeters. Nope, I got what I want. Okay, and now how do I show my work for this? I'm going to split this up. I'm going to show and say I split the figure into 2 pieces. Piece A. Actually, I'm going to put volume of piece A. Volume is equal to length times width times height. Volume is equal to, now I'm just copying, 6 times 3 times 2. Volume is equal to 36. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on volume of piece B. Volume is equal to 4 times 2 times 1. Volume is equal to 8. Total volume is equal to 36 plus 8, which is equal to 44. And that's it. That's all I have to do to show my work. So with this, I have everything I need. I have my final answer, so I get full points for putting 44 cubic inches, and then I'm showing you how I got the 44. That's the trick to this. You need to be able to show people how you got those numbers, where they came from, how you work them out. And a lot of times kids will skip showing the work because it's really hard on a computer to do that. Do it on paper and then just think, how can I just show it off? But if you practice it, it will not feel so hard. So hit pause and practice jotting this down into the equation editor yourself. And then you could also hit this little tab up here to go to the next one so you can keep practicing. Okay, 42 is another one where we're just explaining. So we're just going to get an explain box, not necessarily a show your work box, even though we can draw in there. A student writes the number 67 and 203 thousandths in an expanded form as shown below. How do I know that one? So I like to put my numbers in. The 63 is easy. And here I know I have the tenths place, the hundredths place, and the thousandths place. So that's how I know, because it goes to the thousandths. I know that I have to read this as 203 thousandths. Okay, and here these are just the ones place. Here's just the ones. Here's the tens. Okay, so the student made an error. Where did the student make an error? As part of your answer, write the number in the corrected expanded form. So I have to put that in the corrected expanded form. Okay, so for the tens place, he wrote 6 times 10. so that part's correct. And then for the ones, he put 7 times 1. That part's correct. For the tenths place, he put 2 times 1/10. That's correct. There's nothing for the 0 place, we can kind of just skip it. And then for the 3, we're supposed to be in the thousandths place, so this is where the error is. Okay, so what error did the kid make? Let's type that down. The student made an error representing the 3 in the thousandths place. He wrote, and now I have to recopy it. 3 times fraction, let's extend this, and you could use the 3 little buttons to move it, 1/100, but the 3 is in the thousandths place. And I have to write the correct answer. The correct expanded form is, to get full credit, I have to write all of it. 6 times 10. Don't forget your plus signs. Plus 7 times 1 plus 2 times, and again, this is where practice helps, 1/10 plus 3. I wrote it in the wrong box. 3 times 100, 1000. All right, the correct expanded form of, I want to put the whole number in, 67 and 203 thousandths is. All right, and there we have it. I have my whole answer. We can see it. Period. I'm going to reread it to myself again because I just had to explain my answer. The student made an error representing the 3 in the thousandths place. He wrote 3 times 1/100, but the 3 is in the thousandths place. The correct expanded form of 67 and 203 thousandths is 6 times 10, checking my work, times 7 times 1, plus 2 times 1/10. I didn't need... Okay, I didn't need that parentheses around it. Plus 3 times 1,000. So I think I have everything there. I kind of want to add, but the 3 is in the thousandths place, so it should be 3 times 1,000. Okay, there we go. So I just added that one little point, but now this is a complete answer. And again, practice what it's like to type this out, and make sure that you see how I have not just my parentheses, but I have to have my plus signs in there. So I'm going to just use those plus signs. And so you just got to get used to finding where these numbers are and practice typing them in. But then you're going to be totally fine. Okay, there's only 2 left, 43 and 44. So here's a 2-point problem. Adam opens a ½ pound of tuna and he uses all the tuna to feed his cat. He puts an equal amount of tuna in 4 containers. So I already see equal share. So this is telling me it's going to be a division problem. How much tuna in pounds is in each container? Okay, so think about this. He has half a pound of tuna, and he's breaking this up into 4 equal pieces. So I'm doing 1/2 divided by 4. I'm going to change this to a fraction so we have it. Let's rewrite this as a multiplication problem. 1/2 times 1/4, and I get 1/8. So each bag, each container has 1/8 pounds of tuna. So that's easy to put into this part. Let's again, full sentence. How much tuna in pounds is in each container? Each container has 1/8 pounds of tuna. All right, so what am I going to show my work with this? I could show my drawing just so they can see how I figured this out, that I have 1/2 and I'm splitting it into 4 pieces. Not easy. Especially because I can't draw it too well. Okay, so not the prettiest picture, but I have it. 1/2 divided by 4. And now I'm going to do my number sentence. Let me move this up. Move this over. 1/2 divided by 4. And I'm going to rewrite this as 1/2 times, and I'm going to put this as 1/4 is equal to 1/8. So I think this looks good. The only thing I want to show is how do I get the 1/4. So I'm just going to put 1/2 times, actually no, I want to put so there's my division problem, and here I'm going to put rewrite division problem as multiplication. So there we have it. That's all I did. So I have a picture that kind of shows what I did, how I got 1/2 divided by 4 because I have 4 pieces. But really I want them to see that I know how to divide 1/2 by 4. I made both of them fractions and I rewrote it as a multiplication problem, and then I got 1/8. That's it. But practice again doing this so you can feel what it's like to draw a picture on a touchpad, and how you can put in the most important parts of the work. See what the last question will look like. This is question 3. It's completely on the platform so you can see it. And it's a 3-point question. It's the very last question. And you can see that I have to show my work for one part, where I have to figure out the total amount of rain. And then I have to give an answer. And then I have one more question where I have to show my work and give an answer. So you can see I have 4 boxes to fill. Now imagine I'm only going to have scrap paper while working through this problem. The line plot shows the amount of rain that fell in the city during the month of April. What was the total amount of rain in inches for April? So if I wanted to highlight, notice I can highlight words. So if I want my highlighter, I can't highlight this image at all. It's just moving, and that's the hard part. So I'm going to have to write on my paper, and that's okay. So let's do that. I want the total amount of rainfall. So I'm going to add in, I'm going to do this number sentence here on the side. So I have 1/8 times 3, 1/4 times 2, 3/8 times 3, and I have 1/2 times 2, 3/4 times 3, and 7/8 times 1. So I'm going to solve all of these out. So I have 3/8 plus 2/4 plus 9/8 plus 2/2 which is equal to 1. That's good. That's all I want. Plus 9/4 plus 7/8. All right, so I have a lot of numbers to add here. I'm going to just make this a little smaller for a second so we can kind of see what's happening here. I want to pretend this is my paper. I'm going to add the fractions that are alike first. So I know I have a ton of 8s. So I have 3/8 plus 7/8 plus 9/8. And all that together is going to equal 19/8. And then I have 2/4 and 9/4. Which is 11/4. And I have just a 1. All right, so now it's getting a little easier for me to add everything together. So this is good. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to change my numbers. Let's put this is my whole number sentence. I want to change these to mixed numbers. So 8 goes into 19 2 times. That's 16. That leaves me with 3/8. 4 can go into 11 2 times. And I have 3/4 left plus 1. So far it's getting easier. It's getting a ton easier, but I still can add those two fractions that are different. So, I still need to change that. Okay, so let's change my 3/4 to 6/8. Now I can do some adding together. So I get 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 5, and 3 plus 6 is 9/8. So getting closer. And now I still have an improper fraction, so I have 6 and 1/8. So all that is for just this first answer. Let's put it into a full sentence. What is the total amount of rain in inches recorded in April? The total amount of rain in April is 6 and 1/8 inches of rain. So that was the easy part, was just getting that in. Here's the hard part. I have to show all this work. So I got to really show it all in there. And it's going to be challenging, but that's okay. Challenges are meant to be challenging. So I'm going to do 1/8 times 3 is equal to 3/8. And I just have to type all this out. So it's not going to be easy. 1/4 times 2 is equal to 2/4. This definitely is one of these problems where if I'm going to feel the most tired at this part of the test, this is where we're going to feel the most like wanting to give up. And I get it. I understand. But we can do this. You have the time, so you know if you need to take a break, take the break. But you can absolutely do this type of problem. So it's okay. And this is why we practice. This is why I'd rather you practice now and feel tired and feel what it's going to be like and recognize like, hey, I probably need a break right now, than to do it on the day of and want to give up. Because I know so many kids at this point are going to want to give up. But I don't want that for you. I know you can do this math. I know you can do this problem. So keep going. But if you feel like you need a small break, that's okay. Take a break. 7/8 times 1, whoops, times 1 is equal to 7/8. Okay, so we just did the first part. 7/8. So that was the hardest part. It was just a lot to copy. So now I'm just going to write one more full sentence. Yes, it's going to be annoying because it's going to feel long, but that's okay. 3/8. And this is where we can kind of start simplifying things a little bit. 7/8 plus 9/8. Let's get rid of this little parentheses if we don't actually need it. Is equal to 19/8. Or, and this is where we can start simplifying, right? Because we already did this part. We know that 19/8, we did this already, was equal to 2 3/8. 2 3/8. And then I do the same thing with the next part, where I do the fourths. 2/4, 2/4 plus 9/4 is equal to 11/4. Or, what do we know 11/4 is equal to? 2 3/4. All right, and then we just have the last or 1. So now we just got to add the last parts together. 2 3/8. Whoops, I put it into the wrong section. 2, so something good to recognize. 2 3/8 plus 2. And I'm going to change this part, instead of 2 3/8, or I'm going to put 2 so they know where I'm getting this from. 6/8. 6/8 plus 1 is equal to. So see how I'm kind of simplifying some things to make it a little bit easier? And I know all of this together was equal to 5 and 9/8. Or 6 and 1/8. So yeah, beast of a problem. Not gonna lie, beast of a problem. But you can see where I got all my numbers from. And I'm even gonna put a little space there so you can see how I'm adding all the different parts. And then how I add the 8s, the 4ths, and all the pieces together. And I get my final answer over here. So we're done with this part. And now we go to the bottom. The total amount of rain that fell in the city was 8 1/4 inches. What was the total difference in rain for August and April? So I'm doing 8 1/4 minus 6 1/8. That's what they want to see us figure out. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I want these to I like to stack them. We're going to stack these numbers. 8 1/4, 6 1/8. I can see they're going to have different denominators, so we're going to make them the same. So I'm going to change this to 8 2/8. Oh, and I'm subtracting. I want the difference, so I'm not adding. 6 1/8, and I get 2 1/8 as my difference. So this one, actually, not too bad. So I'm going to answer that question. What is the difference in total rainfall? The difference in rainfall between August and April is 2 and 1/8. Done. And then I just have to show my work 8 and 1/4 minus 6 and 1/8. So I start off with that, and then I just did the same thing again. 8, and now it's 2/8 minus 6 and 1/8 is equal to 2 and 1/8. And we're done. That's it. So all we had to do. So that was the final problem. That was the beast of a problem, 3 points. But I needed to do all of these things to get full credit. I have to show that I know how to add all of these different fractions that are 8ths, 4ths, and halves together. And notice I did that, and I found the equivalent fractions. I know how to change them to like denominators to add them up. And I found the total rainfall. Then I was able to actually subtract fractions with unlike denominators. I changed them to like denominators, and I did the subtraction. So that's it, Math Marvels. That is the entire 5th grade exam for 2023 if I did it on computers. So again, please just go into the comments, and you can find in the description the link to this site that has the equation editor so you can practice and take time practicing.